What's up, everybody? It's John Marzullo from the John Marzullo Group and Howard Hanna Real Estate. I'm coming to you from downtown New Kensington, the town that raised me, the town that made me who I am today, my hometown. To the old timers, it may look like the 1950s down here again, telling stories of people hanging out, spending their money and investing here, and that's exactly what they're doing, but in 2020. That has a lot to do with investments like Voodoo Brewery. There's so much history in this town. Large, beautiful homes and businesses with so much character and so much charm. And Voodoo is investing in New Kensington and bringing fun and entertainment back to downtown New Ken. All right, everybody, we're sitting with Mike here, the owner of Voodoo Brewery and Diesel. And we're gonna talk a little bit about why New Kensington, why brewery, and yeah, we're gonna listen to what he has to say. Yeah, so I mean, I think for me, I grew up in New Kensington, and this, you know, I can remember as a kid coming down here and watching the 100 Centennial Parade through New Ken, and you know, obviously I've heard all the stories about Fifth Avenue and you know, how hopping it used to be down here, and I follow all the social media groups that show all the old time pictures of Fifth Avenue, and like, one of the biggest questions I have for you is like, what made you choose New Kensington to, you know, open this brewery and try, you know, start your revitalization?
Well, this building is what actually got my interest very first, since I had a background in, you know, in construction and a love for architecture, and my wife and I just got done renovating and flipping 80-some single-family houses, which was fun, but once they run well, they get boring, right? So now I was looking for a new challenge. But I drove by one day, end of the day, the sun was shining on the facade of this Ritz theater, and they had a little for sale sign on there. And then, you know, my wheels started turning, and I was, hey, you know, how much can that building cost? And it's an awfully nice building with a really cool architecture. Could probably, you know, cost, I mean, who knows what, millions to replicate that today. It was affordable. I had a lot of energy, and, you know, I wanted to save the architecture. So that's kind of how it first, you know, started.
And was a brewery like always kind of in your mind, or was the building first and the brewery second?
Yeah, it's the building first. This lot that we're sitting on here, which is the beer garden now, was a row of really bad buildings, right? So I think I drove by here a bunch of times and never saw the theater because you were closing your eyes from the boarded up windows and stuff. So, you know, it wasn't until these kind of like disappeared and then you could start seeing the good buildings, the bones of the good buildings, you know, that attracted me. And then, of course, once I saw one building and I saw a few more, and then I started buying a bunch of buildings. That's when the brewery started coming. I was like, hey, I'm gonna be stuck with all these buildings. You know, I gotta revitalize them, bring people into them. I gotta find a reason to get people downtown. So that's kind of, I actually spent a week in Seattle at the Main Street Redevelopment Conference. It's like a national organization for, you know, redeveloping towns. And I, you know, just asked everybody what they should do if you own a town. What do you know, how do you bring it back to life? And it was like 8 for 8. Everybody I talked to said the day a brewery came to town, like the perception of the town changed. People started thinking like, hey, this town's on a rise. There's a, you know, someone putting a brewery in because they must know something, right? So whether that's chicken or the egg, it didn't matter. It was, the perception was there. So that's when I dialed in. I said, okay, I got to spend my time now focused on finding a brewery that shares, you know, my love for architecture and old Rust Belt cities, and that's how we ended up, you know, running into Voodoo and teaming up with them.
I love that you're talking about architecture, because one of the things, so, you know, I sell a lot in New Kensington, and one of the things that I always tell people is you will never find architecture like you will in New Ken. And obviously it's affordable, and you know, people are getting a lot of house for a lot of money, and obviously the same is down here. And you're talking about driving down Fifth and this architecture catching you know, your eye. And what would you say now, as you're investing in New Kensington, to potential home buyers that may be not considering New Kensington right now, or maybe on the fence of considering New Kensington?
Well, the town was empty not very long ago, and it was 2 years or 3 years ago when I first started the first buildings, and it was like tumbleweeds running down Main Street. And it's only 2.5 years later, and I've just opened the one business and starting some other businesses, and the streets are full now, right? So it's hard to find a parking spot, right? So, and with the 30 spaces that I have available, I already got 6 or 8 rented. So this is moving fast, right? I mean, this downtown is going to be, within a very short 2 or 3 year span, going to be a vibrant, again, street with active businesses again, right? And what's so great about New Kensington is it's got everything you need, right? It's like the live, work, play stuff, right? If you got space and you got a little hospital and then you got a brewery, and I mean, you can basically walk, right? So you could find a house across the tracks that's less than a block away for next to nothing, and just be sitting pretty, in the time it takes you to renovate your house, right? You could be, hey man, I get to walk out and I got, candy store, ice cream shop, brewery, all within walking distance, right? I can stumble home if you so desired. And hey, that's what's appealing to everybody nowadays, right? I mean, everybody wants to be close, no driving, right? Have a community where you can basically do everything. Within a walking distance. That's how it used to be, and it's all going full circle, right?
Yep.
Back to that now, where you can't do that, right? You go to Cranberry or somewhere, so you gotta go drive to the area, and then you gotta find a place to park, and then you gotta go back home. Right here, it's kind of like you can just walk out of your door, go shop, get some stuff, and be back home, have a good time. Which is, I think, when people start looking at that. You can do that in Lawrenceville, but it's going to cost you
right.
An arm and a leg. You know what I mean? So you got to. The deal is to find the next Lawrenceville, right?
Exactly.
And get it in before it turns into Lawrenceville.
And I think there's a buzz too. Like, a lot of current homeowners in New Ken are excited about the brewery and what's happening down here, because they feel like, I have stayed here. I invested my time in New Kensington and waiting for it to turn around. And I'm hearing a lot of people that are excited about their home values going up, and being able to kind of get in on the ground floor of a revitalization. And that's obviously got some people excited. You've been around New Kensington for a while. You and I were talking, and you've said you've done a lot of single family home renovations here. But like, what's something since you became, opened the brewery, let's say, like, that surprised you about New Ken?
Well, I mean, the biggest thing with New Ken, which you didn't see initially, was the sheer loyalty and I don't know what's the word, nostalgia. Like, the people really like take ownership in the community. I hear all the time, right? I mean, everybody has like a chip on their shoulder about New Kensington, which you don't see from the surface. You first come in and you just see run down, but you think people would be like more dejected about the town, but it's surprising. Like, once I started opening a brewery, it was just a lot of positive feedback, a lot of constant good wishes, a lot of, I can't wait to see it come back to the way it, I'm glad I'm going to be around to see the town come back to life. And that, hey, is no doubt going to help a lot, right? I don't have to change the perception of the people. They already love New Kensington, even in its, struggling state, right? Yeah. So once I get it, like, already now, right? I mean, the buzz is already big. Hey, another year or two of this, and people are going to be standing up and cheering. Like, I knew it. Being a Browns fan, and then you having a winning season one time, and all it's been 20 years of of losing seasons, and now all of a sudden you're
or a Pirates fan.
Yeah, or a Pirates fan. Better. Yeah.
I mean, and I'm an example of exactly what you're saying. This is episode 1, and look where I started, because I have that chip on my shoulder and I'm proud of my hometown, and I feel like the hustler that I am is because of growing up here, and being in this environment, in this community, has made me who I am. So for you to say those things, a lot of the narrative that I'm talking about in this video is exactly that. This chip that it's like, we've been waiting for this town to burst back onto the scene for years. So,
it's really helpful when you're trying to revitalize the town if you're not rowing upstream, by the fact that you have that support of the community is making a difference.
Yeah.
When I'm finishing up the buildings and I'm fitting out little spaces, it's like I've been renting them all to local, New Kensington residents who want a little retail space and they want to be on the strip. And, it's an embroidery shop and a baklava bakery and and a hair stylist or whatever, right? So, and they're all local New Kensington people who that's just going to, endear the strip and the community to the, it's not Pizza Hut coming in or, Applebee's coming in. It's local business owners, coming in to start businesses here on the main street. I'm helping people with little to no rent the first year while they build out their space, kind of amping up the rent as time goes on, give them a chance to, over 3 or 5 years to succeed. That's really enticing to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I have been really swamped getting people. Everybody's like, I want to be near the brewery so I can leave at the end of the day and walk over and have a beer, right? Which is making all of my spaces appealing, right?
Yeah. And so obviously, you don't have to give away all of your secrets, but if I don't have a homeowner watching, let's say someone that lives in the area and is considering investing in downtown New Kensington, what advice would you have for them?
You should have started 3 years ago because I bought all the empty buildings for cheap, and now you're going to be stuck having to pay a higher premium from somebody who has a building. And the problem is everybody sees what's happening now, right? So now, we bought a bunch of foreclosed homes. I basically bought a foreclosed town,
Yeah.
Everybody was eager to sell. Nobody saw anything happening. Yeah. When I approached them, they were, yes, right? Well, hey, now in the 1.5 or 2 years, we've been actively working here. You can see it. I'm painting murals. I'm going to paint 6 more murals on sides of buildings in there. I've teamed up with this artist to do that, right? I'm renovating buildings that were broken glass and plywood and crumbling, foundations, and I brought them back to life, painted them, put in glass garage doors. So you can visibly walk down the street and it's clear that something's happening. Yeah. And in addition to just me, I'm jumping on the backs of Penn State and the corridor of innovation. And UPMC is now building a big facility, Wesley Services. So we're talking about, 3 or 4 multi-million-dollar projects right on, all within a couple of blocks of each other here, which, probably hasn't happened in 30 years total, right? So we're talking about, it doesn't take you don't have to be a genius to walk down and say, something's brewing in New Kensington and I had better jump on the bandwagon, right? And if I was somebody, the advice I'd give them is to go find houses as close to the New Kensington Strip that are gonna be walkable distance, right? That's what people are gonna want, right? When this place is booming in 5 years, right? People are gonna be like, I live right here and I can just stumble into town, go look in Lawrenceville and find the duplex that's 1 block off of the main drag, right? And those places are gonna be worth the most, right? So the closer your house is to town, right, the more desirable that house is gonna be, right? Yep. And now there's a lot of rundown houses close to town. And if somebody doesn't go buy them, I will, what I mean? And there won't be any left.
That's why I said not to give away all your secrets, because, but so, my last question for you is, we're drinking Amber Wave, and that's your words, so we could drink more of them.
Well, it's the lowest ABV count, alcoholic, content, because a lot of the craft beers, they taste really well, but they're also high in alcohol. So if you can have a couple of beers, then it's no problem. But if you're going to spend an extended period of time, I'm going for the lowest alcohol content, so I can have a few and not have to worry about anything.
And I've had a bunch of different beers here, and they're all amazing. But what one is your favorite?
Well, they do have a lot of good. I was a traditional beer drinker, Coors Light guy my whole life. I quit drinking like 30 years ago, so I hadn't drank in 30 years. And I've only started drinking since I started this brew pub. I figured I got all the trouble out of my system and I could trust myself to go back to, having a beer as a grown man. And, so now there's a lot of good ones here. I'm trying to think of which one. Winona's Brown Ale. In the wintertime, when it was cold, was my favorite because it's really good with a cigar. And then, and I'm really warming up to the IPAs now, which I did not like a lot before. As a newbie, it's acquired taste. So now I've moved to enjoying an IPA now. So the Good Vibes is their flagship beer. That is a good IPA. But the best beer that they have is it's like a limited run that only comes out in October for a month, and that's Cowbell on Nitro. Really fantastic. It's like the best beer I ever had.
Awesome. And so Thursday nights are trivia, Sunday is yoga, Fridays and Saturdays, do you guys have stuff going on?
I mean, Friday's been so busy. This Saturday we have music. We're going to start doing like live music, acoustic music and stuff. We tried that, last weekend. My sister came down here and sang. It sounded great, and a really good vibe. So we're going to try to keep with that. We're going to try. Phil's going to try other stuff. We're going to try, comedy night, and and if people have enough interest, live music and art and all, this type of stuff goes with craft beer, right? It's the whole point of craft beer. It's like engage the community, have live music. There's no TVs here, no football, right? No dollar drafts, right? No Miller Lite. It's like there's a million places you can go. See ya, go there, right? Yeah. Watch TV and sit there. Here, like no one's on their phone, right? No one's watching TV. Everybody's playing live board games or cornhole, or right? I mean, they're talking, right? Or they're listening to live music. It's part of that's the niche that I liked and that I wanted to, bring to New Kensington, so that everybody's engaged and talking and old school kind of acting like we used to, and not, staring at video games all day. Right. And you'll see that later on if you come, and you'll see, hey, people are doing trivia, no one's on their phone, everybody's talking and engaged. It's a really refreshing environment. You can go anywhere at any other restaurant, and the whole family's sitting at dinner at Applebee's, and they're all on their phones, and no one's talking to each other, right? Yeah,
I'm guilty of that.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah, sure. And it kind of, you feel awkward when you're here on your phone because it's like everybody else is engaged and having fun. And
right. All right, cool. Well, I appreciate your time. Obviously, I feel very happy that I am able to kind of put this together and celebrate New Ken, celebrate Voodoo Brewery, and I'm glad that you were willing to kind of open your time and your doors up for me to be able to do this. So I really appreciate it.
Okay. Well, Old Town Overhaul is my business name for my development company that I've started here. You can look at my logo on the back of my shirt there, so about now you know who I am. Yeah. But so Voodoo is just one of the businesses that's occupying one of my buildings, and now that this is up and running and functioning now, I mean, move on to maybe I'll open an ice cream parlor or something, a craft ice cream parlor across the street, and really get things going down here.
Yeah. I'm excited. I'm excited about it. I'm excited to see it. I got my New Kensington chip on my shoulder, and I'm ready to see it turn around, no doubt.
Awesome. Thanks. Anybody who shares this video is going to be put into a drawing for a meal, a free shirt, and a free beer giveaway on us.